2,000 tired, hungry men and women stood behind cracked stone walls, staring at one of the largest armies on earth, and the Ottoman Empire was absolutely sure this would be easy. In 1552, the mighty Ottoman Empire marched into Hungary with tens of thousands of soldiers. Their goal? Crush a small fortress called Eger and open the road deeper into Europe. They thought it would fall in days. Instead, they walked into one of the most unbelievable underdog stories in history. This is the story of how a tiny Hungarian force, farmers, soldiers, nobles, and even women, held off an army that had conquered cities across 3 continents, and why the Ottomans never forgot Eger. By the mid-1500s, the Ottoman Empire was a monster. Under rulers like Suleiman the Magnificent, they had conquered Constantinople, taken much of the Balkans, defeated Hungary at the Battle of Mohacs, threatened Vienna itself. After Mohacs in 1526, Hungary was shattered. Its king was dead, its land was split. One part was controlled by the Ottomans, one part was ruled by the Habsburgs, and the rest was chaos. Hungary became a battlefield, and sitting right in the middle of this dangerous frontier was a small fortress town, Eger. For Eger wasn't just a random town, it was a gateway. If the Ottomans captured Eger, they would open a clear path into northern Hungary. That meant more territory, more control, and possibly another push toward Vienna. To the Ottomans, Eger was just another stepping stone. To the Hungarians, it was the line in the sand. If Eger fell, everything north of it could fall too. The fortress was commanded by a man named István Dobo. Dobo didn't have a giant army. He had around 2,000 defenders. That's it. And these weren't all elite soldiers. Facing them, an Ottoman army estimated between 40,000 and 80,000 men, led by powerful commanders like Kara Ahmed Pasha. Just think about that for a second. For every one defender in Eger, there were maybe 20, 30, even 40 Ottoman soldiers outside the walls. If this were a movie, you'd say it was unrealistic. But this actually happened. The Ottomans were confident. Why wouldn't they be? They had heavy cannons, skilled janissaries, experienced siege engineers, thousands of trained troops. Their strategy was simple: surround Eger, bombard the walls, break through, crush resistance. They had done it before, over and over again. Cities much bigger than Eger had fallen. So when they arrived in September 1552, they expected this to be quick. Instead, they met something they didn't expect. Dobo knew he couldn't win in an open field, so he did something smart. He prepared. Before the siege even started, he strengthened the walls, stockpiled food, collected gunpowder, reinforced weak points, positioned cannons carefully, and most importantly, he made it clear: no surrender. There's a famous moment where Dobo gathered the defenders and made them swear to defend the fortress to the death. This wasn't just about land, it was about survival. If the Ottomans broke through, the town would be destroyed, the people enslaved, the culture crushed. So this wasn't a battle for glory, it was a fight for home. On September 9th, 1552, the Ottomans opened fire. Cannons thundered day and night. Stone walls cracked, towers shook, dust filled the air. The defenders were outnumbered, outgunned, and exhausted, but they didn't break. Whenever a section of wall collapsed, Hungarian soldiers rushed forward and built makeshift barriers from rubble. When Ottoman troops tried to storm breaches, defenders poured boiling water, oil, and even hot pitch onto them. And then something happened that shocked the attackers. The women joined the fight. This isn't legend, it's recorded in Hungarian history. There are stories of women hurling rocks down onto Ottoman soldiers. One famous tale tells of a woman lifting a large stone and dropping it on a soldier trying to raise the Ottoman flag. Whether every detail is perfect or not, one thing is clear. The defense wasn't just soldiers, it was the entire town. And that changes everything. Because when an army fights for pay, that's one thing. When people fight for their families, that's different. As the days passed, the situation grew worse. Ottoman cannons kept pounding, sections of the outer walls collapsed, food supplies shrank, gunpowder ran low. The defenders were tired, injured, and the Ottomans launched wave after wave of attacks. At one point, they nearly broke through completely. Imagine standing there, hearing thousands of enemy soldiers screaming and charging at you, knowing if they get through, it's over. This was the moment everything could have ended. Dobo knew something critical. He didn't need to destroy the Ottoman army. He just needed to outlast them. Sieges are brutal for attackers too. They run out of food, disease spreads, morale drops, weather turns. As autumn crept in, conditions worsened. Hungarian defenders used clever tricks. They moved cannons around to make it seem like they had more than they did. They attacked suddenly at night. They repaired walls under cover of darkness. They even used primitive grenades, clay pots filled with gunpowder and scrap metal, throwing them into tightly packed Ottoman troops. Every day the Ottomans failed to break through, their confidence slipped. This tiny fortress was embarrassing them. In early October, the Ottomans launched a massive final attack. This was it. Thousands of soldiers stormed the breaches at once. Ladders went up, drums beat loudly, arrows filled the sky. The fighting became hand-to-hand, swords, spears, smoke, blood. And somehow, the defenders held. They pushed the attackers back, again and again and again. After weeks of brutal fighting, the Ottoman commanders realized something shocking. They couldn't take Eger, not without losing too many men, not with winter approaching, not with supplies thinning. And so, after more than a month of siege, the Ottoman army did something no one expected. They retreated. Let that sink in. A fortress defended by roughly 2,000 people had just stopped one of the most powerful armies in the world. The Ottoman Empire, at its peak strength, failed to capture Eger in 1552. This wasn't a lucky accident. It was preparation, leadership, unity. Some may even say divine providence. What happened after? The victory at Eger became legendary in Hungary. It proved something important. The Ottoman Empire was powerful, but not unstoppable. Of course, history isn't always a fairy tale. In 1596, decades later, the Ottomans returned and eventually captured Eger during another conflict. But that doesn't erase what happened in 1552. For that moment in time, a small group of defenders changed the story, and their stand became a symbol of Hungarian strength and human perseverance for generations.